Max Verstappen is world champion for the second time, as Christian said, in less controversial circumstances, in a car that has dominated. And here's a message from some of his most famous fans.
Max, yeah, there's a song about you. Super Max.
What?
Max.
That was a very lovely song. Is that a good race? Oh, is that a good race?
Hi, Max.
Yeah, where they got the closest and almost made contact. He made a little bit of contact now, he's just behind it. That could have been a different story altogether.
You lose so much downforce.
Stroll pits, Gasly pits, Zhou Guanyu already pitted, 2.4 seconds stationary for both the Alpine and the Aston Martin. So Gasly goes down to 18th, Stroll 16th, his teammate Sebastian Vettel is currently 6th, and ahead of him, this battle, Hamilton and Ocon. So we saw them come perilously close to each other the previous lap. Let's see what happens this time. And as I've been saying, Verstappen will not be champion at this race if it stays the way it is currently. Hamilton then, just a couple of feet behind Esteban Ocon. Once again, he pulls to the outside of the Alpine, and once again, he loses speed when he's not in the slipstream. That Alpine has got too much straight line speed for the Mercedes today.
It has, and it's what he does through 130R as well. He's having to back out of it a little bit there, but it's trying to position himself that he doesn't lose the front downforce, which is not easy to do, but yeah, he's struggling to get past today with the straight line speed that Mercedes has.
Well, here we go, down the main straight and into turn 1. And once again, Esteban Ocon carries on his way. Esteban Ocon, who of course won in Hungary last season, but is without a top 4 finish in 2022, would dearly love his first top 4 of the finish of the season to come this afternoon. George Russell is starting to gain on Fernando Alonso, but he's got a long way to go to try and catch him. And this is George Russell past Nicholas Latifi. So he's starting to gain on Fernando Alonso. He's gaining because he's managed to get past Nicholas Latifi.
He's done it there again. It's George's corner, turn 6 on the way into Dunlop. Beautifully done.
Ted, let's head down to you.
So Lando Norris is now behind Nicholas Latifi. He's been given an offer by his engineers. He said you can pit now, and it would be quicker in the net race time, total race time, but you'd have to pass about 6 or 7 drivers. Do you think you can do it? I think Lando's decided that no. I think track position is very important here today, and has decided to stay out there and hope that Latifi makes a mistake, or he can get past him and then makes a mistake.
We've been waiting for this for so long, and this is just amazing racing.
Look at the commentary box window, Jensen. It's getting a bit dark out there. There are floodlights, not as good as Singapore, it has to be said, all around the Suzuka circuit, and they are shining very brightly to give the fans a sense of just how dark it is, sat in the grandstands or in the open terraces here. But this is a cracking end to this Japanese Grand Prix. We've waited a while, and it is certainly worth the wait.
Yeah, you can see now that Checo's up behind Charles Leclerc. He's got a lot more understeer in the car through those high-speed corners. He'll be overheating those tyres, so he's got to get the move done quickly, otherwise it just won't happen.
Fernando Alonso, 3.5 seconds faster than George Russell on the last lap. I say that because he's got time still to catch him for 7th place. Alonso's now ahead of Latifi in 8th place. Sergio Perez once again at the hairpin, taking the inside line, Leclerc the outside line, and the overtake looked on for a minute, but only a minute. But through Spoon now, inside Perez, just dropping back a bit. That might not have been the line to take.
No, well, Charles is taking the really wide line, which is more difficult for the car behind now. You know, with Lewis and Ocon, Lewis would go wider, but now Checo can't because he's losing so much downforce while he's sat behind Charles on that wide line.
If we get beyond 50% distance, then Sergio Perez is out of contention for the World Championship. He'll be 7 points behind his teammate Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc would still be in contention going to Austin, but only just. And the fastest lap of the race, which we can get beyond 50% distance, is currently in the hands of Zhou Guanyu. So for the second race running, the fastest lap wouldn't get a bonus point because they'd be outside the top 10. There are the points as it stands. Well, no, they're not the points.
You're not going to box for new tyres?
Not at the moment.
He's got almost a free pit stop.
He has. You need 22 seconds to do a pit stop, and he's got a 23-second lead. But this is going to work out well for Fernando Alonso. He's 4 seconds a lap quicker than Russell ahead of him in the Mercedes. The gap now 4 seconds.
Yeah, into the hairpin we go. Perez on the inside, Leclerc on the outside. Why would Verstappen want to pit for new tyres? Fastest lap, Jensen Button?
Fast that he's, yeah, the problem is he's so relaxed on the radio, isn't he? He's got a almost a 24-second lead. It's just
Race, it's lap 28 of 53. Clock is down to 0. Max Verstappen is going through Dunlop Curve at the moment, on his way to yet another win.
yeah, it looks like an easy win for him, but I'm sure it hasn't been from the cockpit. But still, so many battles out there. Fernando is 4/10 behind George Russell, fighting for P7.
And he's going down the main straight, Fernando Alonso, just behind George Russell, while Russell's teammate Lewis Hamilton gaining on Esteban Ocon coming out of turn 2. Verstappen now through the hairpin. He's got half a lap to go. The battles are all elsewhere as Alonso does get George Russell and moves up to 7th place. Great call, Jensen Button.
And he's only 1.9 seconds behind Vettel. He could actually get, 2.3 seconds behind Vettel. He could get Vettel into the last chicane.
On the very last lap, could it possibly happen? You never know. Sergio Perez is giving it everything, trying to get past Charles Leclerc. Goes down the inside. It's imperative for these two that contact is not made. Certainly for Charles Leclerc, who doesn't want to crash out of this race like his teammate did right there, because he would be out of the championship, and that would be the end of his title hopes this season. As it is, they don't touch, and Charles Leclerc stays ahead of Sergio Perez, as out in front Max Verstappen making his way through the final chicane now, on his way to yet another victory. Charles Leclerc has given it everything in his defence against Sergio Perez. Max Verstappen has taken the checkered flag to win the Japanese Grand Prix. It's a 12th win of the season for Charles Leclerc. Meanwhile, 12th win of the season for Max Verstappen. Meanwhile, Leclerc goes across the rumble strip. Perez tries to get him on the outside of the final corner. Leclerc comes home to take 2nd place ahead of Sergio Perez. They might have a look at that in the steward's room after this race, because that seemed very untidy going through the final corner. But let's take it through 130R, Jensen.
Yeah, so Leclerc's braked. He's just out-braked himself and gone straight. I personally feel that he's going to have to, he's going to lose that position to Checo.
He pushed me off.
Wow.
He came really unsafe.
And then did he push Sergio Perez to a place that Perez didn't want to go? Esteban Ocon holds off Lewis Hamilton when we look at these replays. Sebastian Vettel in 2nd. Fernando Alonso did manage to get George Russell, finishes in 7th place.
At the same time as Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah, he was what, 2.3 seconds quicker than Sebastian Vettel on the last lap, but not quite enough to get past Vettel at the line. Points go all the way down to 10th, so Russell gets points, Latifi and Lando Norris too. Max Verstappen came here wanting to win a world title.
Well done, mate. You've won it. You see the checkered flag. Well done. Nice race at the end, though. Nice few laps in the wet. Totally dominant. That was absolutely fantastic. Well done. Yeah, luckily we got the race. The fans deserve that.
And he can't win the world title, but he can win another race. The 12th race win of the season for Max Verstappen, and that, one of his more domineering afternoons.
Yeah, I mean, Spa was special, wasn't it? But this
home team in some sense. Honda, it's a Honda-owned circuit. They've got their cars in 1-2 on the podium there. Checo Perez inheriting that 2nd place after the penalty. It's a big weekend. They've officially confirmed their return to the sport, and they've got a 1-2 and a new world champion.
And a 5th 1-2 finish of the season for Red Bull. Most they've ever scored in a single year. And the celebrations begin down in Parc Fermé. Kelly Piquet watching her man on top of the podium. the winner's trophy then for the 12th time this year. He's just one short now, isn't he, of the record for most wins in a season, held by Sebastian Vettel and by Michael Schumacher. His teammate Sergio Perez, consecutive podium finishes for him for the first time since Monaco and Azerbaijan. And oh, there you go, Honda holding aloft the Constructors' Trophy on the podium here in Honda Land.
I'm pleased for them. They didn't get to celebrate last year's title success, so for them to come back into the sport officially this week and celebrate at home, that's good for Honda and good for Formula One, frankly.
Perez then with his trophy, and for Charles Leclerc, it's a 4th consecutive podium, matches his longest career run. He's been second in the last 2 races previous to this, and he thought he was second before that penalty from the stewards for the incident at the final chicane. Took that away and took his title hopes away too. A 32nd career win then for Max Verstappen. Same as Fernando Alonso, a second one.
How does it feel? I mean, your emotions must be all over the place. You know, you won the race. You were so dominant today. You didn't think you'd won the championship until after the race, but how are you feeling right now?
It's crazy. I mean, very mixed emotions, of course, by first of all winning the race, but you know, looking back now, of course, winning the championship. But what a year we've had so far! It's been incredible, and something I could have never imagined from happening after last year already. You know, fighting until the end, and then having such a good car again this year. So, you know, I'm so thankful to everyone who has been contributing to this success. Of course, the whole team who is here, but also back at the factory, who is constantly working flat out, and they are never missing any motivation, you know, to try and make the car faster. So, yeah, and besides that, I mean, that's of course from the car side, the work we've done together with Honda all the way through. You know, every year just constantly improving rapidly, and you know, to win now twice with them is very emotional, especially also here with everyone watching. Gives you a little bit more pressure, but it's good pressure, it's positive pressure. And so that
was reading the rules to check the interpretation that Formula One had done that actually made Max Verstappen world champion. I can tell you that Mercedes were also doing exactly the same thing.
Max Verstappen is world champion for the 2nd time, as Christian said, in less controversial circumstances, in a car that has dominated. And here's a message from some of his most famous fans.
Max, you know, there's a song about you. Super Max.
what?
Max, Max, Max.